right, we're on our last video for this chapter. And so I've been kind of giving you validity coefficients across the different styles of things that you might do. And I thought it would be really helpful to sort of like line them up. Your best estimates of validity are your general cognitive abilities, then psychomotor, then assessment centers, and then finally biodata being like the least predictive. So we're sort of going through, but I did use like green to yellow because all of them are like, they're not dramatically different from each other. But if you could only do one thing, believe it or not, if you could only do one thing, actually, I would say try and do two. Have a structured interview. And then if you could only pick one of these four things, believe it or not, a general cognitive ability test would be your best bet. It feels wrong, and it feels like a lot of people don't like intelligence tests and other kinds of things because they think they are inherently biased and other kinds of things. But they are, of all these simpler things that you can do, well, I don't know how simple an assessment center is, but of all these things that are on the list, it's the best. It has the best validity for predicting a person's job performance. Now, of course, the more things you can include, the more variance that you're going to be able to account for in the criterion of job performance. So some predictors are more useful than others in predicting certain criteria. So if, again, with job analysis, you could figure out am I most interested in? You can really save yourself a lot of time and effort by focusing in on those predictors that are best for that kind of job. Okay, the last thing I wanted to talk about was that last part. So you've had all these applicants, you've gone through everybody, and you've decided on someone, and the rest of the pool needs to be rejected. So the best practices, I can't tell you exactly what to say and what not to say. Your book has like some examples of rejection letters. But the best practices, first off, it should be personally addressed to that applicant so that their name is included and they know that you're not just saying, "Dear applicant," but you say, "Dear John Smith," right? Like personally address that and then personally sign it. Don't use like the auto sign. I'm the worst. I have like a little image of my signature and I put it on letters. Like, don't do that. Print the letter and sign it with your own hand, right? Express appreciation that the applicant applied. Let them know that you appreciate their interest in the organization and their willingness to go through the process of applying to your job. Compliment the applicant's qualities that were good. If they had qualifications that you admired, that especially if it got them to the interview phase, that's one of the most frustrating things to be an applicant. Get down to the interview phase. They've interviewed you, you got all dressed up, you went down there, you answered all their questions, and then you never hear anything. I guess I didn't get hired is the assumption, but they never said anything. That's the worst. Let them know what qualities led you to invite them for the interview, for example. Oh, we really admired that you had this, that, or the other quality. This was very interesting to us, and we were interested in hearing from you in the interview. And then this is a good time to transition into, however, the successful applicant had more experience or had a wider variety of experience or had a specific certification or something that you didn't have, applicant, you didn't have this thing, and that's why we picked this person. It makes it a lot easier to accept a rejection if you can say, "Oh, well, that person has already been doing this thing that I've just got the training for but haven't got experience in." Or I have experience in this part. This person brings some additional experience that I don't have, right? Okay, that makes sense. There was not a lot I could have done about that except for try and get a job that would give me that experience, right? Like it's easier if you can find out that they had something that you didn't have. It honestly makes the rejected applicant feel better. Give a little information about the hired individual, not personal and their address, and let them go get their house egged. I'm talking about information about, we were very pleased that the successful candidate brought with them these skills, right? Here's the thing. You might run the risk of the rejected applicant saying, "But I've got that skill too." Well, honestly, now it's on you because nothing that you provided to us indicated that you had that thing. Like that was on you. You needed to have told us that you had that skill, particularly if it was something that we asked about. And then of course, wish that rejected applicant good luck. I hope that you find the place that's a good fit for you, right? I hope that good luck in your job search, whatever, be sincere about it. Too many organizations just let it go with crickets. They don't say anything. And as I mentioned, I'm currently in a hiring committee, and we had a lot of applicants. Like, oh my gosh, a lot of applicants. So many people are being rejected and not making it. We let's just put it this way: we are interviewing 1/10 of our applicants, and I still feel like we're interviewing a lot of people, but it's 1/10 of our applicants, and we're going to be able to hire 1/6 of our interviewees. So you do the math. So a lot of people are going to be rejected, and one thing is you don't want to reject them too quickly, because what if your chosen person doesn't accept the job offer? So you want to keep your pool kind of not sure until you've made a final decision. And like at a university job, that takes forever. I've been on this hiring committee since January. So people have, starting I think back in October, started putting their applications in. It's a slow process to hire a tenure track faculty member. And applicants are used to that. They know universities move slow. So it can be a long time before they hear anything, and we have not rejected anyone yet because of the fear that because things take so long, maybe our premier choices might have been snapped up by somebody else already, and so we don't want to reject anybody early. But we were having a discussion about, do we send rejections to our applicants that we don't choose? And me being on the committee, I was like, absolutely. And then somebody else raised, well, doesn't that open us up to lawsuits? And no, it doesn't. If you say in your rejection letter anything lawsuit worthy, which sounds discriminatory or something like that, yes, you would open yourself to a lawsuit. But if you follow these best practices, there is no reason why an applicant would be now mad and would try and file a lawsuit. Instead, they would actually probably feel better that you honestly considered them, sincerely considered them, that they actually were outperformed by the applicant that was successful, and maybe they might be willing to apply again, maybe a lower level job or something like that in the future. So there is no risk as long as you don't say something that could be construed as risky. And I've talked about some of the things that you're not supposed to mention, age and other kinds of things. So all right, the final thing is promising to keep the resume on file. If that's a thing, if that's something in your organization that's possible, right? Sometimes in hiring a faculty member, we'll have maybe 2 people who are really fighting it out for being offered the job. And we'll tell the second person, if you're open to it, we can keep you on as an adjunct, right? Like, we're not offering you the position, but if you would like to teach for us adjunct, like, we would like you to do that, or we'll keep your resume on file so that if in the future we need you, we can do a reach down, something like that. You can't do that in all jobs. Not all jobs work that way, but if you can promise to, we'll keep you in mind, that also helps out, that they're like, okay, well, you didn't reject me. I'm still in running. And maybe you only say that to the ones who actually are still in running. In the job that we're looking at that had so many applicants, a lot of them just honestly were not in the right, like, this was not the right field for them. They had applied to something they weren't at all qualified. Certainly we're not going to tell them we're keeping their resume on file. For faculty members, you don't usually say that anyway, but we wouldn't do that for a lot of the applicants because they're not in the running if the job were to become open again, because you're not in the right field. For those who are in the right field, that's when you would say something like, if you'd like to be added to our adjunct pool, let us know, something like that. Like, that would make sense, right? So letting them know that all is not lost is a nice added touch. All right. Well, hopefully by the time we've gone through this, you've seen at least some of the principles. Our textbook talks about a lot of these things in more detail than I'm doing. But why references don't typically predict performance, and how to choose the right type of employment test for a particular situation. I've given you the principles for these things. And so hopefully you feel like you've learned the basic concepts of using predictors for selecting potential employees. All right, well, I will see you in the next chapter.